Happy Devils Friday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast 2024
worn out Sam Wu.
NHL trade deadline recap. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Shorts Guy from the highest point of New Jersey, Scotty from the Michael J. Fox Studios in Beverly Hills, California, and Beer Baron. Just kidding, it's Vinnie Parise, Chicago, Illinois. Streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, X Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network. Trade recap, lots of opinions, lots of comments, lots of things to go over. I don't even know where to start, guys. I watched the press conferences both on Twitter and then not really a press conference, but the interview with NHL Network with Tom Fitzgerald today. Trying to make sense of it all, whether or not I believe him or not. I think he's been pretty transparent so far. And, yeah, let's go around the room and just discuss because I hear an air conditioner somewhere in the background.
No idea where that's coming from, but why don't we just start from the first trade of the day and just go through the day?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Sounds good to me.
It's a recap show, so let's do that. We'll start with the Toffoli trade, which came, about 11:30 this morning? East Coast time? I'm not even going to do the math what it was when it was what time it was for you, Scotty, but this was that trade. Yeah, early. This was that trade we were all kind of expecting, and I know personally I was hoping wouldn't materialize today. And I know, Scotty, I believe you sent us that article this morning too about Toffoli and the potential of both Smith and Miller going, which Miller wound up joining Toffoli, but Toffoli goes for those 2 draft picks to Winnipeg, which to me Winnipeg came out of left field.
Yeah. I didn't see that one. I mean, everyone I think had Toffoli pegged for the Kings if they can figure out somehow, how to squeeze him in under the cap. Obviously they did not, and the Winnipeg Jets jumped on it. So, Tyler Toffoli heads back up to Canada, and he's going to get to play on another Canadian team there, post Montreal Canadiens. And good for Tyler. I wouldn't rule it out, him returning in the offseason. He seems to have liked New Jersey, but I think the issue with Tyler Toffoli is he wants a longer-term deal. He wants a 5 to 6 year deal, and it looks like the Devils are thinking maybe 3 to 4 instead. And that seems to be the area of discontent between the two parties. And will they be able to hammer something out? I'm not sure. But is Toffoli interested? Yeah, I would say so. Is Tom Fitzgerald interested? Yeah, I'd say so. So I think it's going to get revisited sometime in the offseason.
Yeah, I'd say that was what I got from the Fitzgerald presser that happened about 4:45-ish here. It seemed like that was their sticking point was term, because I believe he's 31, if I'm not mistaken. So if he wants 6 years, that's put him over that 35 age bracket where that's that I don't even know what to call it, age where you have to really watch what you do with the players at a certain point. So, to me, like you said, they could revisit him coming back to Jersey, and with him going to Winnipeg, I think that is a pretty solid chance, because I know Vinnie and I were talking about it earlier when we broke this news with Sammy. Players don't always seem too enthused to stay in Winnipeg.
No, they really don't. And Winnipeg, to me, is a sleeper to win the Stanley Cup. Do I think they're necessarily going to? Well, if they don't win the Central Division, which they very well could, they're actually in the best position to win the Central Division, because They have 2 less points than Dallas, same amount of points as Colorado, but 2 fewer games played than both of them. So, the math works out in their favor. They could absolutely win the Central Division. And you add Tyler Toffoli to a top 6 that has Scheifele, Ehlers, Kyle Connor, all playing at the top of the level. The future Vezina winning goaltender that has already won one already in his career back there. They got a pretty good defense, smart coach. I like what they're doing in Winnipeg. Tyler Toffoli, he's shown the ability to bounce around and not really have that first year fatigue with a new team. He always, wherever he goes, he's just the same consistent, pretty good top 6 player. But I didn't see necessarily Toffoli going there. I didn't see the Devils pairing up with them to make that trade, let alone 2 trades. But,
yeah,
I like it for them. Most of the animosity that comes from today from New Jersey Devils fans does revolve around that trade, because we did see other forwards that are less productive than Tyler Toffoli garner more in a trade. But the market was kind of reset last night with the Jake Gensel trade. And, there are a couple players that are going back to Pittsburgh. Nice prospects, fine. They didn't get any of those high-end prospects from Carolina that some people thought they might. It kind of set the Devils back in the market. I don't know if there's any correlation between those two things, but we have seen markets fluctuate throughout the league over the last, however many years all of us have been watching hockey. It seems like it's a pretty copycat market a lot of the times. Goalies are being sold high. Defensemen are being sold high. Well, Jake Gensel, the number 1 forward on the market, he went for significantly less. Who would you rather have, Jake Gensel or Tomas Hertl? Hertl has term, but, they were both traded, and Hertl got a way better return than Gensel did. And now Vegas has to have Hertl's contract for the next 7 years. You would think it'd be the other way around. Gensel is a pure rental. You don't have to deal with him if you don't want him long term. I don't know. The market's just different right now, and the Devils got what they got for Toffoli.
Well, the thing with Hertl in Vegas is, what are they going to do when they have all their players healthy again come summertime? They're going to have to move some. They're going to have to open up some cap space at some point, because they are the. This is the Tampa Bay playbook on steroids with them right now. This coming playoff season with them, it's wild.
Yeah, totally. And you know what? The people that are upset about it, I get it. You wanted a first-round pick. You wanted a high-end prospect or NHL roster player. When it was the Kings that were going to trade for Toffoli, it sounded like, it's probably going to be Kayev coming back. Or, Arthur Kayev or Kaliev, however you say his name. Or one like Laferriere, the Jersey kid who scored on the Devils when the Kings played them last weekend. Or even people were throwing out Alex Turcotte's name, needs a fresh start. It hasn't worked out as well in the Kings organization. Well, none of those things materialized. Toffoli's a UFA at the end of the year. He wants 6 years. The Devils want 3. It's not going to happen. We got to get something. He was traded with 2 hours left before the deadline. Yeah. So something's got to happen. And now it's up to the Devil scouting department to take advantage of these draft picks, whether it be by trading them for something else over the summer or making selections with them.
Agreed. 100%. I don't think it was, so terrible, like you said, with the way the market was. And he's a rental for Winnipeg. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is, really. I mean, you don't let him just play out the season and then potentially walk for nothing, So you got to go and get what you got to get. And that was the best offer. And LA couldn't afford him. They're strapped for cash.
Yeah, and like I said, we were all surprised to see Winnipeg out of nowhere when that alert came across our phones, when the text messages started flying. It's like, Winnipeg? Where the hell did Winnipeg come from in this? They weren't even a rumor. No one even considered them as part of this, even a potential. And
yeah. No, but every team in the Western Conference bought except for the Kings. The Kings didn't make a single trade.
That's true.
But every team that currently holds a spot in the Western Conference playoffs, Nashville, Vegas, Colorado,
Edmonton,
Winnipeg, Edmonton, they all did at least something.
Yeah, you're right.
And the Jets felt probably that they had to jump in this mix. They got a pretty good third paired defenseman and a top 6 forward. So you know what? Kudos to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Sam, you rejoined us. What do you got to say?
I hate Vegas right now. That I can't wait for our trip.
Everyone does.
On March 17th, when Shorts Guy is in the arena yelling, "Your city's a waste of water."
You need the Devils to win that game.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because then like
absolutely.
your chirps like, oh, cap circumvention, play in the system. Then they're gonna be like, yeah, look what we get to do. We get to win. You need the Devils to win. Then making fun of them will be funny.
We actually look like a bunch of morons if you think about it, because when Dougie Hamilton, went out, Fitzy did say this. I forgot. I think it was in the interview with the NHL Network, saying that at first they didn't think he was going to be out for that long, and then as things went along, then they realized. But did they take advantage, other than that one trade where they got a pick back?
It goes back to what you say a lot, though, Sam. Vegas's ownership allows them to. Nothing they do breaks the rules. It had been collectively bargained that if you put a guy on LTIR, it doesn't hit the cap, and they can return for playoffs, and there's no salary cap in the playoffs. That has been collectively, and I know I said that earlier today. I'm kind of tired of saying it, but it is just allowed. It is a rule that Vegas takes advantage of. Their owner allows them to, year after year after year. The Devils, they're not comfortable trading first-round picks after first-round picks after first-round picks. When's the last time Vegas made a first-round pick? Oh, the guy they drafted last year, who they just traded for Hurdle. So it's crazy to me what they do. I wish the Devils would do it. I don't care if other fan bases would make fun of them. But, every player that becomes available, Vegas is at minimum in on. They don't always get them. They didn't get Erik Karlsson. They didn't get Timo Meier, but they were in on both of them. I said this earlier, if you told me over the summer they traded for Crosby, I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing Vegas can do would surprise me at this point.
See, here's lies the problem, though. And some Devils fans feel like this. Still scarred with the Kovalchuk penalty, where every team did that, and as soon as New Jersey did something with that Kovalchuk look at the Pronger contract with the Flyers. That was actually worse, probably worse than the Kovalchuk contract.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I was saying that. I was saying that on Hot Pod the other night.
Yeah,
every team is allowed to do it. Now, 31 teams can do it, but the Devils do it. We'd be screwed.
The only thing I can think of, in fairness, was at the time Vanderbeek was signing big contracts when he didn't have money to pay for it. So maybe that's had something to do with it. Eventually the league kind of said, okay, we'll give you Mr. Irrelevant in the first round pick as to settle this. But
and didn't they kind of rescind the penalty a little bit too? They gave the Devils the first-round pick back, but it had to be the number 30th overall pick.
Yeah, I
believe it became John Quinville, if I remember correctly. Just a dumb, busted pick, but
yeah.
So again, it's what's done is done. Now let's talk about goalies, because we didn't have you on before with the Jake Allen trade. Did we before?
No, I was unable. I was not able to answer the bell and join that podcast earlier this afternoon for when Jake Allen, when the Devils made that trade for Jake Allen. But I know you guys spoke about it at length, Vinnie, and we were just talking about it a little bit before the podcast. I have, come out multiple times and said I was not a fan of bringing in Markstrom because of his age. He's 30. That's a short-term look. And then here we go, trade for Jake Allen. Now, granted, I know we didn't give up much. We got, what was it,
It was a
There's
third-round pick. It was
Yep.
a third-round pick that could become a second-round pick if he plays at least 40 games next year and whatever team he's on makes the playoffs.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
it's
we can
conditional.
actually trade him at the deadline, and if he
Yeah.
makes the playoffs, then we still get okay. It's still, to me, it's kind of mystifying. Now, looking back at his stats, like 5 years ago, he was solid, but 33. His game has dropped off. But at the same time, his game has dropped off. The Montreal Canadiens have dropped off drastically. So, and we've seen what happens when we have good goalies. They don't look good with bad defense. So, Jake Allen can be good. He's not the long-term answer, though.
No, he's definitely not the long-term answer. He's here for the rest of this season and next year, and that's it. And he's going to be the backup on this team next year, and that's what it's going to be. Because if anything was proven this year, it's that Akira Schmid and Nico Dawes are not ready to take the
Not
reins,
ready. Yeah.
and even in like a backup form. So they need to go and get reps. Because hearing Fitzy today, it sounds like he plans on re-signing both of them. Unless they're part of a deal for Saros. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But I fully expect, Kakinen to come in, and he's going to play out this season. Maybe they'll give him some chances here and there to see if he's got anything left. I mean, he's got some skills, but much like Mackenzie Blackwood when he was here, he tends to lose focus, and the floodgates tend to open up. So he's a UFA after this year. Yeah. Unless he goes on the heater of all heaters, I don't see any way that Fitzy is re-signing Capo in the offseason.
Well,
he walks, and then you go out there and you get a goaltender. Jacob Markstrom, who we know we've been connected to, even though there's age questions and stuff like that with him, he's going to be available. He did, waive his no trade to come to New Jersey, and then there was a whole kerfluffle about things. We know that he was willing to accept that trade. From hearing Fitzy's comments, it sounds like he's still interested in Mr. Markstrom coming in, and you have finally you have like a 1A in Jacob Markstrom, or you try to work a deal for Saros with the Nashville Predators, and that's where you might lose a Dawes or a Schmid or something like that in the process, because that's got to be a trade. The Elvis Merlinkin, I don't know if you want to go down that route. I don't know. I don't see him as being that top tier goaltender, but I think rolling into next year, you're going to see either Markstrom, Allen, or Saros, Allen as your goalie combination for this team. Now, I can always be wrong. And there could be someone like the Winnipeg Jets coming in from left field. All of a sudden there's a different move. But if I had to think, of the goaltenders that are out there that we have heard all the rumors about and everything, those seem to be the two that Fitzy has been, most interested in. Saros is going to cost you a little bit more because it's going to have to be via trade. But Markstrom, you're going to be able to sign. The issue with him is going to be the same with Toffoli. Length. How long is he going to be looking for in contract-wise? If he wants to sign maybe a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal, they might swing it, because look at this team. They need to improve a little bit on the back end, get a solid goaltender, and you got a much different scenario going on with this team. Yeah. So, but I still think they need to bring in a big a defender as well. But for me, I'm thinking you're going to have Markstrom Allen or Saros Allen as that goalie combination for next year.
Getting rid of Vanacek next year's on the cap was huge. Basically, that's what Fitzy was saying in the NHL Network interview. He's like, we brought this guy from San Jose, without saying, We just wanted to get rid of that 1 year.
We wanted to get rid of that extra year on Vanacek's
and that's
contract.
that's he said that in that Devils presser too, that it almost seemed like it was just a salary dump, because he even said that he's not even sure that Vitek's going to be back again for this season at all. So for the Sharks to even trade for him with the potential of him not even returning this season, that's. And I don't know. I did not see anything about if Mac Black was out for a while with that injury he left the game against the Devils with.
He's on injured reserve.
So
you don't say.
But Vanacek is out for the year.
You don't say. Mackenzie Blackwood is on injured reserve. I never. What?
Yeah,
you're kidding me.
They put him on injured reserve the next day.
And did
saw
anyone
that Devils
else
jersey? I'm hurt. I don't know what's going on. Can't play.
He can't be in the same building as a Devils jersey. He'll get hurt.
And he gets hurt. Did anyone else find the irony in Capos coming from San Jose shortly after the Devils just shellacked him? It's like, hey, we just shellacked you like a week and a half ago, but hey, welcome to the team.
Maybe he's a practice goalie to give everybody
honestly.
He's here for 20 games, and that's it. So he'll be gone.
And I'm not
I just
mad
found the
about
irony in that.
I don't know what it is. I feel like I try to be optimistic as much as I can. It's been hard this year. But when I look at Allen, I look at his 5-on-5 save percentage and his high danger save percentage. They're both very good. They're not both very good, but they are both considerably
good for a crappy team.
Better. Exactly. They're on Montreal, and they're both considerably better than Vitek, Vanacek, Nico Dawes, and Akira Schmid. And the Devils, with that bad of goaltending, are still somehow, although slightly, somehow in the mix. They are where they are with putrid, bottom of the league, almost all-time bad goaltending. If
the under 900 club.
All three of them. But all three of them give up softies. Jake Allen might have a low save percentage. He's not giving up softies the way that these three have been this season. He's just not. And Capo Kakinen, he's mostly played on okay to average teams, except for the last 2 years. The last 2 years, though, the Sharks have been dog crap. They're the worst team in the league potential. And that's when he's been terrible. But before that, 916 save percentage, 910, 912, a down 902, 913. It's not the hugest sample size of games. He was the backup goalie.
What's that first number you said? What was the first number you said?
913.
Was that a 9? I don't know if that number's
9.
allowed with our goaltending. Yeah, 9. What's
that?
that?
Got it. Yeah.
Listen.
There's no 9.
I would have gladly played for the Devils with a below 9 save percentage.
You'd have gotten paid handsomely for it.
For much less.
League minimum.
I would have taken below league minimum, but that would have screwed the Union. So, but I definitely could have played a little bit.
I just have a feeling the Devils are going to win some games with these two average goalies that are coming in. I don't know. If they don't at least look slightly better in that department, then it's a bigger question of just the goalies. It won't matter who you bring in. It means you got to really the system and some of the defensemen, which we know they need some upgrades on some of the defensemen. It's hard without Dougie. But, I mean...
defensive ones, too.
Like, you watch some of these games and the goalies are just so far out of position. And I know Capo Kakinen was terrible against the Devils after coming in relief for Blackwood in that game. Did you see the way, though, that Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier made it look like they were playing an East Coast League team in that game? And they were just walking around defensemen like it was...
It is an East Coast. It essentially is an ECHL team.
Listen, I know the Hawks are lower than them. I watch the Hawks a lot. Mm-hmm. The Hawks are way better than the Sharks. I don't care where they finish in the standings. Connor Bedard alone makes them a better team. And now they're going to be without... Well, they've been without Hurdle. He's been injured. But, they're missing Hurdle and Carlson and Meyer, and Logan Couture has been injured. That is a bad hockey team. Oh man. Wow.
By the way, Vinny, I'm looking at it now. It seems that they took off the looking on DraftKings, at least, it seems they took the out of the team futures section, they took the odd.
You kind of cut out right there.
They took the odds to make the playoffs. You know how we were looking at the odds to make the playoffs the other night? Those futures are no longer available.
For anyone?
For anyone.
Huh.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's just because of the trade deadline, and none of the bubble teams really bought, though.
I know.
Like, what bubble team, like outside the playoff bubble teams, really none of them bought.
I know. Because I was just decided to check it out, see if the Devils' odds changed, because it was plus 600 the other day. But it seems to be that they've taken those future bets off of the board.
Without looking at the standings right now, where would you guys guess Vegas is?
They're fourth in their division, right?
Yeah.
They're fourth.
They're in the fourth in their division, second wild card spot.
Yeah. They're pushing. They want to push. They've got that. We need to push into the division, into the top 3 divisional spots. That's what they're going to try to do, and that's what they want, and that's a front office that wants to win. I don't know if our ownership group wants to win or if they just want to have good analytics so that they can eventually sell the team. Which then goes into how many of these trades were made based on analytics today, as far as who they brought in the 2 goalies. Plus we've got the Jake Allen Marty connection from when he was in St. Louis. But I'm wondering if they're just thinking that numbers wise that they can get these guys to have mediocre numbers, like you're saying, and maybe sneak into the playoffs. But even if we make the playoffs, it's hard to expect them to do really much of anything. But then again, you get a hot team that's on a hot streak, and you never know what could happen too.
If they make the playoffs, they're going to be that sexy pick, because just like you said, if they make the playoffs, that means they won 15 of their last 20 games, and they're going into the playoffs as hot as any team in the league.
That's a tough ask. It's a tough ask with this team that just seems to play differently every single night.
And we've run down their schedule on Game Day Live, and I know you guys have done it too. I mean, it's daunting. You got Carolina tomorrow, the New York Rangers on Monday, the Dallas Stars next Thursday. You lighten up a little bit with the Arizona Coyotes the following weekend, but then the very next day, the Vegas Golden Knights, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Winnipeg, Ottawa.
They're sweeping that weekend.
That would be fantastic.
Arizona, Vegas. That's right. You guys know all about that weekend, don't you?
Hopefully we remember some of it too.
Yeah. We're going to be obnoxious.
What if, picture a world though, the Devils go here and they somehow, I know it's very, very highly unlikely, but they beat Carolina, the Rangers, and Dallas. They beat 3 of the 6 best teams in the league the next 3 games here. And they go into your guys' little weekend extravaganza on a nice 4-game heater with a real chance to beat down the Coyotes and get themselves into playoff position. Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, they haven't beaten Carolina yet. They haven't beaten the Rangers yet. And they lost to Dallas the one time they played them. Mm-hmm. So you want to get swept by everyone? No. Let's go beat some of these teams. Maybe I'm just being a little too romantic. I don't know. I want them.
They haven't had a 3+ game winning streak all season, so it'll be if they do it, it'll be the first time this year. So I don't know. I hope they put up more of a fight though against some of these teams. That's for damn sure. They came close. The Rangers in particular, but I mean, even
they looked particularly bad in that home game.
When they played Carolina, though, that was the 1-0 game that they lost. So it wasn't, They still have opportunities here, but they got to take advantage of it, and they got to hope that some other teams also, kind of slip up a little bit, which we've seen. Philly, Tampa Bay doesn't look very solid either. They've been having some struggles. There is
Detroit too,
an outside shot,
killed by Florida and Tampa.
Yeah. So and who did they get today? Dumba, right?
Yeah, Tampa got Dumba.
Tampa got Dumba.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a thought about that today, because the last game that we saw Vitek play for the Devils was that Carolina game, correct?
Yes.
And that, and I've said this multiple times, when he was coming off that ice, the look in his eyes was like, what more can I do? I'm curious if that look in his eyes was, I'm just done with this place. Because the look in his eyes coming off the ice was just not good.
Well, it could have been also because he went on the IR right after that, so he might have known that he
did
dinged up pretty significantly.
But I'll tell you, the look in his eyes that I saw from goalie to goalie was just like that look of just utter disdain, frustration. I have had it. It's just that was the look that I saw in his eyes, and then we never saw him in a Devils uniform again. I had that thought today too, just kind of mulling things over as the trades were coming in.
He might have had a few bad shrimp at the hibachi the night before as well, so that could also be that look on his face.
He does love himself the hibachi.
Really needing the restroom, Just, I don't know how I'm going to get out of all this equipment in time. Come on, undo the pads.
It's tough to get out of that equipment quickly. Let me tell you that for damn sure.
But overall, I like where we're going with this goalie situation. Because, we all had high expectations of Akira Schmid coming into the season after the Ranger series didn't work out. We thought Vitek would bounce back, and he had a good record, wins losses. He was like 17-9 or something like that. But he got saved by this team and bailed out a lot with really really good goal support there. But the saves percentage, was definitely lacking. So you bring in Jake Allen, who's another veteran who's been through some wars and stuff like that. You only have him for a year. He doesn't cost a lot of money. He's like 1.9, I think, cap hit right there. Yeah. And that gives you a little more room, with Vitek being off the books and Capo, he's after this year, he's done with his, so once those two guys come off the books, like that opens up some money a little bit, for the Devils to go and try to get that goaltender.
It's a lot of it. I forget before we went on tonight, I was looking around online, and if I remember it, I can't remember where I saw this, so I can't credit to who had this number because I certainly am not good at math by any means. But I think with the cap going up and with contracts coming off the books, the Devils are going to have somewhere in the neighborhood of $14 million in cap space coming for this offseason.
And it's probably going to go up too. The cap.
Well, no, that's with
it included.
With cap going up. That's with the cap going up. That's a lot of space to bring in someone really good. That is a lot of space. So
they could absolutely go for an all-mark.
Oh, they could.
Yeah, 100%. They could go for an all-mark, trade or sign a pretty good defenseman, maybe be in on a bottom six forward center that can replace he who must not be named, as we like to call him on Game Day Live. But I mean, it's the door's wide open with the core that this team has built. I mean, I think most GMs would trade their core for the Devils' core. It's about supplementing it.
Yeah. But that getting rid of that VTech contract is huge for this team. It really is. It was a smart move that maybe some fans don't realize just yet, but after in the offseason, they'll realize how important that is. And you're also not locked into Jake Allen either. If this team crashes and burns next year as well, then maybe you can flip Jake Allen just like he got flipped this year for something, at the trade deadline. But I foresee this team having a much better year next year. If you watch the press conference, Fitzy even said that they were not expecting Nemec to play at the NHL level this year. The whole thing was that he was going to be at the AHL probably until maybe about now, if maybe if there were some moves or something like that. But the idea was for him to not be in the NHL this year. And with all the injuries, he was forced into it. This in the long run will probably be great experience and learning for him to move forward. I know he wasn't dominating, and no one should really expect him to. But the learning that he can get here much like when Jack Hughes was an 18-year-old, much like Jesper Bratt and Nico, and the majority of this young Dawson Mercer, learning on the fly like that. There's nothing like, you're going to get exposed, which they have, but that experience is going to pay huge dividends in the upcoming years with him.
Yeah. So it's just a matter of getting there, and it may take us missing the playoffs again this year. But like you said, Vinny, we're in the mix, and it would have really helped us if Philly could have beaten Florida the other night. But
20 seconds left in regulation or whatever it was.
It was a little less than that. I think it was so stupid.
That to me is though sometimes it's just a bad year.
Yeah. Yeah, and Vegas had an off year. I think that year before Vegas won, they missed the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, they traded for Eichel, and he came back, but he wasn't. He took him some time, and Tampa missed the playoffs one of the years during their little run. Hedman was hurt. Tyler Johnson couldn't stay healthy back when he was like a key contributor. I think Stamkos might have dealt with some injuries during that time too. Like
he dealt with a lot of injuries. Yeah,
it happens. He has. And then when you look at his games played, you're like, how did Stamkos accumulate that many games played when he basically missed all that time? But yeah.
And then you think the opposite. Like imagine if he didn't miss those games.
Yeah.
DB. Like
he could be pushing like 700, 800 goals.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Real quick, I just want to say hi to everyone on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook. I see we got a lot Instagram, Twitch. I see we got a lot of heads out there joining in for the party. Hopefully, we're talking you off that ledge right now. It's not as bad as everyone is making it out to be. We all knew that the season was kind of not going the way we wanted, and you could hang on to these, these players, or you can try and get some assets for them. And I don't know. I think Fitzy did the right thing here. I think he did the right thing by cutting bait with one of his really good buddies, Lindy Ruff. And I think he couldn't get the term with Tyler Toffoli. And I think it's going to be something that Toffoli struggles with unless there's another team that just throws something at him. So, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see Toffoli back. And Colin Miller, whatever. I mean, Colin Miller hit the net like twice this year. That's about it, So,
and they went in because they were going 150 miles per hour.
Yeah. Just take like 5 miles an hour off, Colin, and actually hit the net, and then it would be nice. But losing Colin Miller, that's not gonna affect us.
Can I ask you guys a dumb question?
Yes, go ahead.
There are no dumb questions.
Do you think it's possible? This could sound like a dumb question, and I get it because he leads them in goals, and it's hard to poo-poo a guy that leads your team in goals. But do you think it's possible that maybe Tyler Toffoli and his lack of speed could have overall impacted the Devils' top six? He scored a lot of power play goals. Timo Meier just seems to be better on the power play, though. You saw what happened in their last game. He seems better served as a right wing. He's faster. He's more of a bulldozer. Is it better for this team to have Timo Meier in the spot that Tyler Toffoli was taking up this season?
Probably.
I'll tell you what.
Like,
Vinny.
Is it an addition by subtraction kind of thing? Like, the numbers don't tell the whole story. Like, yeah, 26 goals. That's awesome. He had an overtime winner. It was fun. He had, 3 hat tricks. One of them was against Montreal. And I'm not crapping on him. I like Tyler Toffoli. But I don't know. I just... the Heischer line seemed faster yesterday. I don't know what it was. They just seemed faster yesterday.
It was. But I'll tell you what, Vinny. Yeah. Before you even finished your question, a lot of people in the in the YouTube live group, Shane Van Sickle, Tom, Rob.
It's Lindy's fault.
They all agreed with you, Vinny. They all agreed with you. But yeah,
I can't tell if you're being sarcastic and they're all crapping on my face. I'm gonna have to look.
No.
They're agreeing with you.
They are all agreeing with you, and then there's always our good buddy Tom to kind of say it was Lindy's fault. But not
everything can be Lindy's fault. Playing
That is
Timo
true.
Meier on the second power play unit or Sharon Govich and Holtz on the fourth line, you can blame those things on Lindy. But it's not Lindy's fault that Tyler Toffoli's slow. I don't know. I think, and Andre Palat is slow too. But Andre Palat, he's a lot more methodical and he seems like more of a deep thinker than Tyler Toffoli. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way my stupid, dumb brain works. I talk about how dumb I am all the time, but when I watched Timo Meier play yesterday, it seemed like he was in a better position to succeed without Toffoli in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And he was, and he showed it. All of a sudden, it's like, boom, 3 goals. And almost a fourth at the end of the game there. It's
4 points. He got the assist on it.
He did.
Yep.
So he did
a
play
painful
a lot
assist.
better.
Did he block a shot?
Yeah. But yeah, he did play a lot better, and his speed was more evident last night. So
I've got a question for you guys.
And Ariel says it was 99% Lindy's fault. Okay, only 99%. All right. So there you go.
I got a question. What if the Devils lost 5-1 yesterday? What would our attitudes be today? Because that gave us hope with that Timo Meier hat trick. They won under Green. What if they lost 5-1? Do you think we'd be this rational?
I'd probably
I think the Blues would have bought someone. The Blues probably would have been buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Blues would have been a little better off, obviously. They would have probably made a trade today.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Against Florida, that was a goalie loss. The Devils dominated that game. That was a goalie loss. I'm not a Lindy apologist. I'm not a Lindy hater. By the end of his tenure with the Devils, I just didn't care. I almost wanted him fired just so people could stop talking about Lindy. But there were some adjustments made during the Florida game that I liked. There were he started Holtz on the fourth line. The only thing I don't love putting Bratt or Heischer and Hughes together in any circumstance. It just should never, ever, ever happen. But because I like spreading the wealth, they're both really good at driving lines by themselves. But there were a couple adjustments that Green made in that game that I was like, the Devils. I don't know. I don't want Green to be the long-term coach, but I don't know. Maybe Lindy was the problem. 99%. Who knows?
It could be that he was, again, we don't know. We weren't in the locker room or whatever. But I don't know. I just don't know if that system was.
I think Lindy was a puppet from the front office and the analytics team. That's what I
could
think.
be.
Yeah.
Based on
that's why it would be nice to bring in a Sullivan. That dude wouldn't be no puppet.
That's why he won't come here.
Perhaps.
I mean,
the Devils love the Pittsburgh Penguins lineage, though. They've shown it time and time again.
There's no way Sullivan is leaving Pittsburgh. I don't see Dubas firing Sullivan.
Really?
Yeah, I just don't. And this is not just my own observations. Like this is talking to little Steve on Hockey Untapped, who's a very big Pittsburgh fan. He just does not see Sullivan being let go at all, and I trust his opinion on that. He just doesn't see it. He just doesn't see it. So Sullivan would probably be great here, but I don't see him leaving Pittsburgh. So it's if he's available, absolutely. But I don't know if he's going to be out of Pittsburgh at all.
Well, if Pittsburgh misses the playoffs, they're going to try and maximize whatever years Sidney Crosby has left. They might, I don't know. They could pull the trigger if they feel, I don't know. It's
Yeah, but if you're going to maximize
defeated yesterday.
If you're going to maximize
if
you're going to maximize Sidney's last year, are you going to bring in a new coach with a new system for the team to have to get behind? Or would you
bring in Gallant? He's usually good for like a year or two, and then he'd be done. So that's all Sidney's got left, really. So
yeah, and he's not going to bring him anywhere because he gets right to the end, and then that's that. But
we missed Sullivan by a hair too. If you think about how close the Devils were to having Sullivan as their head coach, they the Devils hired John Hines, who was the coach of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, over the summer leading into that season. The Penguins were on the fence about firing Dan Bylsma. Sullivan gets promoted in the Hines spot, and then Pittsburgh fires Dan Bylsma and hires Sullivan instead of Hines. If they would have just hired Hines earlier, the Devils would have landed on Sullivan, who probably would have been fired by now anyway, but by the Devils.
Well,
but
let's go back to our conversation from the other night, Vinny, about imagine if you could trade coaches. Let's take Saros and Burnett. Thank you, Saros and Burnett for I don't know something.
It would cost 3 first-round picks, but yeah, I'd do it.
Let me give them Curtis McDermott and Chris Tierney. I think that'd be a good even trade right there.
And we'll give you a full bag of Taylor ham, except you got to call it pork roll.
No.
I only said it that way, knowing who I was talking to. If Nick Villano was on the show, I would have said it the other way around.
There you go. I'll tell you guys this. I was actually at the grocery store the other day here in LA, and I found some Taylor ham pork roll there. Right there on the shelf. And I took a picture and I said to my mom, I'm like, holy hell, look what I just stumbled across here. I had no idea this was in California. Good Lord, I'm buying
It's starting to travel a little bit.
It's because everyone is finally understanding the greatness that is Taylor ham.
100%. Well, my brother just went for breakfast last weekend, and he sent me this picture. It was he sent me the menu, and there was a sandwich that they were selling at this breakfast place that had Taylor ham on it, and it's like 5 minutes from where I live. I'm going there soon to try it, and if it stinks, I'm gonna have something to say about it.
Well, because you know what real Taylor ham is now.
I do, but all the weirdos in Illinois who are eating it probably think it's delicious. Which, speaking of food, we have a question in the chat that needs to be addressed.
Oh, okay.
Someone said, Antonio, he said, Vinny, I'm heading to Chicago in April. Any places that you can recommend to eat?
How much time do you have, Antonio?
Yeah, Antonio, have a seat, pal. So if you're looking for like the fanciest, need a reservation type place to go, like really want to impress your lady, Chicago Cut. It's like right on the water. Yeah, you're going to want to go there. The Giordano's and Lou Malnati's are like the stereotypical, they're the tourist pizzas. They're like the touristy deep dish pizzas. But if you want like one that like the locals only know and it's not as nationally known, but people here think it's better than the touristy ones, I always compare it to Nashville. The locals will tell you Prince's is the best place to get Nashville hot chicken, but Hattie B's is like the nationally known one, the one that everybody goes to when they go to Nashville. It's the same thing. You got to go to Peak. Yeah, exactly.
You don't go to Pasadeno's unless you just want to go for say you've been there.
The tourist attraction. Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so Pequod's is the place to go. Pequod's. And then,
what about Harry Carey's? Do you go there or no?
Harry Carey's, that's more like a tourist attraction too, of course. But like, yeah, I would just go to Wrigleyville and go up and down Clark Street by where the Cubs play and just bar hop and eat pizza wherever you could stop, and you'll find your way across all the neighborhoods. What's that?
Isn't that beer, the old fashioned? Isn't that what it's called?
Yeah. Yep.
Old fashioned beer?
Yep.
Yeah, they don't have that in Jersey or LA. That's like a Chicago thing.
100%.
Antonio, when you're out in Chicago, you have to go out and get a Malort. You have to get a Malort while you're in Chicago.
It's disgusting, but you have to do it. I'll warn you.
There's like a famous Chicago hot dog stand too. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like all names of like metal bands and stuff like that. I've heard. I've never actually been there, but they have like the Metallica, the Judas Priest. It's some famous hot dog
place.
stand.
It's a burger.
Oh, it's a burger?
Place.
I thought it was a hot dog stand. Okay.
Kuma's Corner.
Something. Corner. Yeah.
It's Kuma's Corner. It's the Metallica, the Led Zeppelin, the Judas Priest, and you go in and there's just death metal music videos. It's freaking sweet. I know you guys would appreciate that. I love that. I walk in and I'm like, let's go. This place rules. But Portillo's, how did I almost forget Portillo's? You got to go to Portillo's.
Isn't it the original Pizzeria Uno over there too?
Yep. And I saw it when I was in Shorts Guy's car, actually. I noticed there were a couple over there.
There are,
Was not expecting that. Going
down Route 3 to the down to the Meadowlands, there's a Uno's.
Yeah.
Actually, I used to go to a pizzeria in Uno's when I would go to the Boston Marathon. It was right on Boylston Street. We would drink at the bar, and then, after my brother's alerts went off, we'd go out and cheer him as he ran by as we were drunk on Boylston. It was great. It was a really good time.
It's made its way around. That's awesome.
If I remember correctly, isn't the pizzeria, the original one in Chicago, it's like almost like in a house. It almost looks like a house, like on a street, right? Or am I thinking of a different spot? Yeah.
No, it definitely is. And it was like, the one I remember seeing was like on the corner of a building, and there was a big grill, like a ginormous grill, like hanging from it was obviously for show, but it was like hanging from the building. It's sweet over there. There are a lot of places. Send me a DM on Twitter. We'll chat. Right off the top of my head, I could even think a lot harder about this and really give you some good recommendations. If you're going during hockey season, go to the Hockey Barn. It's right next to the United Center, and it's not Blackhawks themed. It is NHL themed, and it is awesome.
We're going there one day, Vinny. You and I are going there.
We're going to go there.
We're going to do Game Day Live from there when the Devils are playing Chicago.
Yes, 100%. I absolutely would love that. That sounds incredible.
We're doing it.
And the House of Blues.
And then if it's baseball season.
I was going to say, the House of Blues is like right in the center of the city. If you go to it, looks like his alien ship, like just right there in the middle of the city.
Yep. Have you ever heard of Atreyu?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw Atreyu there. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. One of my all-time favorite music memories.
El Jefe's? I remember that bar. I don't know if you know where that is. I don't know if it's still open. I don't know. It was there when I went last time.
It sounds familiar, though. That's the thing. It sounds familiar.
It's right there in that center part of the city, like Magnificent Mile. Like I think it's like kind of near Millennium Park, and like you going towards the train, towards what is that, the red train to go over down to Wrigleyville, like somewhere in that area.
The L, yeah. I was going to ask if it was like in what's it called? Like the South Loop is what they call that area.
Oh, okay.
But,
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. So there you go.
A Chicago-themed trade deadline episode of the Let's Go Devils podcast.
Are there any good salads in Chicago?
Sam's asking for a friend.
Yeah.
He's asking for a
go to Panera Bread. There's like 10 of them in Chicago.
Isn't the original Jimmy John's out there too?
Yeah, I think it is, yes. The original Jimmy John's
John.
And the first ever McDonald's is in a suburb not far called Des Plaines, Illinois.
There you go.
No, I thought that was out here in San Bernardino.
Or maybe it's the first McDonald's that had a drive-through.
Oh, okay. I think it was. I think I know what you're talking. I think it's like the first McDonald's that they opened up. That the whatever the guy's name is, the founder that Michael Keaton played in the movie. I think that was the first one that he opened up. I think that's what it was.
Got it.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
lots of history there.
Yep.
When you guys come, we're gonna have a party.
Oh, I want to go to
drive
Wrigley.
Shorts Guy around.
Yeah, I can't wait to come out to Chicago. I'm surprised I haven't
Every
been there
time
before,
I was there,
I got to go.
Cubs
out.
weren't in town.
Yeah,
I partied
when they're
in
in town.
Wrigleyville.
Yeah, Wrigleyville's awesome. I'm a White Sox fan, but Wrigleyville when the Cubs are there is so fun. It really, really is. Maybe we'll do a outdoor. No, I guess you'll just come twice: baseball season and hockey season. That's the best route of action.
We
should all go in the summer when the Mets are in town.
I was just looking that up, Sam. I was just looking that up.
Do it.
I'm down with that.
Do it.
I'm down with that. I love Chicago.
Because I'll root for the Mets. I hate the Cubs. I'll root for the Mets. I have a Mets hat. I have multiple Mets shirts. Oh, I'm in. I wear the opposing team's hat just about every time I step in Wrigley Field. So,
We'll have to all
The only
walk in
time I
there
ever
doing the
rooted
Will
for-
Ferrell, Harry Carey. Hi. If a hot dog was made out of cheese, do you think it would be in the moon?
That's awesome.
Well, we've got
Well,
off
Sam,
the
are you
rails here.
happy?
Yeah,
I was
we
going
got
to say,
way
is Sam happy
Thanks,
that
Antonio.
Antonio, he sent us off the rails.
Well, actually, I think the
You know what?
Devils
It's-
sent us off the
it is what
rails
it is.
and
Yeah,
to
well,
be here
the
today.
Devils
But, you
sent
know,
us off the rails a while ago.
Yeah.
That's
But
happening.
back to the trade deadline. For what it is, I think Fitzy did do a good job today in recouping some assets, setting up for next year, getting out of that VTech contract, freeing up some money, bringing some picks back. Is it where we wanted to be? No. But this season, just everything has gone wrong. There really hasn't been too much stuff that's gone right this season. So, for what it is, I'm okay with the idea of Jake Allen being a backup. Jake Allen cannot be the starter next year. That's a no-no. Fitzgerald has got to go out and get a 1A goalie, a starter, an ace, someone to help this team, especially with the young defense. You got to have an ace goaltender. Whether that's Markstrom, whether that's Saros, whether that's Olmark, I don't know. But it's got to be someone. If you want this team to compete next year and make a run into the playoffs, you need quality goaltending. And you also need a defense to play in front of them. So I've said that before. You need a stand-up, top line defenseman as well. I've been on record, and I'll say it again. I don't believe Siegenthaler is a first-line top-pairing D-man. No problem with him on the second or third, but I just don't see him as a top-pairing D-man. I want that big monster, stay home, shut down, put fear into the eyes of the opponent D-man that can line up there with Dougie. So Dougie can go hog wild, and someone else can kind of cover the ground a little bit when we know Dougie is pinching in a little bit.
Yeah, that's going to bring us to success, and we've got the cap space to do it this coming summer. So let's hope Fitzy does that. Bring in the goalie, bring in that defenseman, and then the rest of these young guys can develop. And then you got the top pair, Dougie and monster defenseman to be named later. Maybe a Siegenthaler and a John Marino, and then you can put Hughes and Nemec on that third pair. And I guess that would say that Ball would be the odd man out or defenseman number 7 at that point. And
we'll see.
That could be your defenseman because that allows for Hughes and Nemec to develop properly and not be forced into odd situations where they're underprepared or not ready for, I should say, is probably the better term. And then there's the key to our success next season. And then that's it.
Yeah. And listen, even though it happened a lot this year, trust me, next year, unfortunately, someone's going to get injured. So they have to look into a little bit more of the depth as well because the Chris Tierney, the Thomas Nosek, I know Bastian got hurt as well. He who shall not be named, disappearing from the team as well. They're going to have to look for a little bit more depth to be able, just in case something like this year happens again next year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
A lot of work to do there, Fitzy. A lot of work to do.
Work to do, but we got space
done.
to do it with. That's the best part. So, yeah, exactly. Get it done. Get it done. There you go,
All
Sam.
right.
That's it.
Well, Sam says we got to wrap, so
Yep.
I guess we got to wrap. We got to listen
Wrap
to the
it.
boss over here.
Well, tomorrow we'll have Game Day Live and Devils After Dark.
Oh, that's
Early.
right. 9:30 a.m. for me. Holy jeez, guys. That's
Yeah.
early as hell.
Yeah.
Man.
Not as early as that flight from Phoenix to Vegas, though. That'll be even tougher. Sam, we should go live from the airport as we board that early flight.
You want to?
Let's do it. What the hell?
Join our crew.com. We're live from Phoenix Airport. Talking Devils hockey.
Sam is plugged into the outlet, and all of his equipment is getting hacked right now. So from the airport.
It's going to be a great trip, guys.
Everyone be ready for the 3 or 4 podcasts afterwards. We're just going to talk about that trip. So just be prepared. Be prepared.
Yeah. And Steve Engel, say hi to Alejandra for us at American Whiskey. Yeah.
Yes.
She's
Please
waiting
make sure
there
you say
for
hello.
you. Yeah.
Take a picture. Take a picture with her. Have the wife take it.
Yeah.
I'm staying out of this.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note,
we're out.
Yeah. Want to thank all those tuning in, dropping the podcast at midnight. Join our crew.com. Get the latest updates of our live events. Also, March 23rd is looking to be a big stage event at American Whiskey. 51 Edison Place, next to Prudential Center. All right. Time to get out of here. Till next time, let's go Devils.